How are you doing today, Mohamed?
I'm doing really good. I drove from Sioux Falls yesterday. Not from Sioux Falls, actually, Maple Grove, Minnesota to Sioux Falls for a dinner. And so I've been traveling a little bit. But this morning has been good so far.
Sweet. I heard that you're pretty famous around here. One of the more famous students. I've had some people recommend, hey, you should get Mohamed. And then I've seen your face before. And I don't know if I contacted y'all or probably someone else, because, let me ask this first. So what do you do?
I'm the president of the College Democrats of South Dakota. Yeah, I'm the president of the College Democrats of South Dakota. On campus, I serve on the Student Government Association. I worked for the Opportunity Center this past semester. I ran for president of Student Government Association this past semester as well. So I did a lot of things this past academic year. But outside of school, my professional life, I am the president of the College Democrats, and I'm also involved with the College Democrats of America.
Are you originally from South Dakota or the Midwest?
No, I was born in Somalia, and
cool.
My family moved to the United States in 2013. And we lived in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for about 14 years. And then we moved to Maple Grove, Minnesota last August. My family moved there, and I just been coming here for school and keeping in tabs of what's going on in the state.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Oh man, you are young. Yeah. Are you still in school though?
Yeah, I'm going into my senior year of college, so I'm almost done, and it's starting to hit me that I'm a senior in college, and all the senioritis, I think that might start kicking in soon at some point. But I can't have that senioritis right now, so I need to lock in next year and graduate and get that degrry.
Yeah, that is really cool, man. Whoa, okay, okay. I do want to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
So when did you get here to the U.S. then?
2013.
2013. Oh, how old are you? My bad.
I'm 21. Yeah.
You're 21.
Yeah.
So you were about.
I was 10 years old when I came to the United States.
Okay, the English is great. My daughter was born. So we were just talking a little tiny bit about it. So I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
My wife is from Mexico, and actually our daughter was born in Mexico.
Okay.
We came here. We came to Vermillion around. It was during COVID, so it was 2020, September 2020. And my daughter we speak mostly just Spanish in the house. Okay. And I was so concerned because I was like, she doesn't know any English at all. And we got here and we didn't put her in, since it was like COVID, we didn't put her in school yet. She was doing this online stuff in Mexico. And we were putting her in kindergarten, and there was 2 weeks left. And I was like, well, what's the point? Why put her in 2 weeks? And then we put her in there, and then I don't know what happened. But during those 2 weeks and also the summer, because you started hanging out with more kids, that English popped.
Yeah, for me, it was like 3 months into the country, that I started getting a little bit more accustomed to the culture, the language a little bit more. I think I had one of my 5th grade teachers famously tell me, Mohamed, you only been here for 3 months. And you already are a little bit aware of the language and all of that stuff. And that's a little bit because when you're little and when you're at that age, it's easier for you to be accustomed and assimilated to the culture that you're going to compared to an immigrant who came to the United States at 40, right? They're not going to be, accustomed to the culture. My grandma has been in the United States for almost over 20 years, and she doesn't know a lot of English. And that's just because it's old versus young and whether they can understand the culture faster.
You're right. And you're right. Actually, you're right. Because I got another example. So my parents, same thing. They were born in Mexico, but my dad came over. Well, he would come and go. He would go back and forth. Mm-hmm. But he came over as a kid. And I think he said in the 3rd grade. And then, so he's bilingual, perfect English and Spanish. Mm-hmm. If he talks in English, there's no accent. My mom came over, I think, when she was 20 or 21, and so she understands English. She could speak it, but she has a very thick accent.
Yeah, same with my mom. She took some courses, and in Sioux Falls when I was growing up, my mom would go to these classes that would teach her English and then like get her accustomed to the U.S. culture. And even all of that, she's still like, yeah, she understands English. She knows what you're telling her in English, but she will have those broken English language. Like the words are going to be broken a little bit. There's going to be that heavy accent. But other than that, like my mom understands the language. Of course, so we're similar on that one too. So yeah,
my mom did the same thing. She took courses. I remember because in the summer when I was a kid, they would go to this. I forgot what school, but I remember it was in Lake Worth. And yeah, me and my sister, we would go, and then it was English classes with a bunch of her friends. Yeah. And because even nowadays, she tells me, she says, I can't. She says she wants to take more classes to like read and write, or my bad, like more of the writing, and to improve on it. But I say, I don't think it's that. I think you just got to kind of do it. There's a difference between like, you know, it's the same when like, for example, a common language will be Spanish. People take like Spanish classes in middle school or high school. You know, they'll say take 4 years, but it's very different learning a language like during a book instead of like experiencing it. I think it's completely different.
And it's because for young kids that we're like in that environment all the time. Like we're in school for 8 hours, right? And so we're forced to like listen to English, understand English, read English, while for like your mom and my mom, they have a split time, you know, where they're immersed with their culture and everything surrounding the friends and everybody that, you know, that's Mexican or Somali, you know, for my mom, they're going to be hanging out with those people predominantly because that's comfortable for them. Right.
Yeah.
And that's comfortable for them. And yeah, but for us, it's because we were like more immersed and we were there every single, like I'm kind of losing my language a little bit, and which is not something good for me personally. I do not want to lose my language. And being at a university, especially at USD, where I don't have a lot of those, you know, connections with my culture, it makes me like, oh, I'm starting to slip up in my tongue. And that kind of also has a negative side effect of always being in, you know, not being immersed in your culture a little bit. But yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's what I'm not gonna lie. So I think if I remember right, I think my first language was Spanish because both my parents, they speak Spanish. And then my dad, you know, well, he also spoke English. And then I started, well, you know, like you're saying, you're immersed with the culture, with school. I started speaking English. And then for some reason, I remember I was in elementary school. I had one of those, I don't know if it was a phase or something. I did not want to speak Spanish. I guess I felt embarrassed. That's what it was. I felt embarrassed because
there's part of me that like growing up, you know, it's in that immigrant like type thing where, oh, like if I'm not speaking English or if I'm not doing this certain amount, I'm like uncool or stuff like that. And I'm like growing up now, you're like, no, you should have not done that. You should have just been prideful with your culture and prideful of who you are and not try to shy away because I don't know, I'm in a predominantly white school here. So I don't think the culture here really, in some ways, the school itself values, but when it comes to the inner workings of the students, there's like a massive disconnect between like immersing yourself with different cultures and stuff like that. And so, yeah.
If you are enjoying this and want to be a guest or sponsor, email me at vermillionunplugged@gmail.com. What are you studying in school right now?
I'm a political science major with a minor in media and journalism.
So why political science?
I honestly, it's a myriad of like my personal like life of like what I have always been as a person. Like my mom famously loved to tell me that I like to like lead and stuff. And so, but I started like looking at multiple avenues and I was like, let me look at medicine. Let me look at like, I wanted to be a neurosurgeon when I was a junior in high school. And that was like my little middle life, like if they have a midlife crisis moment, that was my midlife crisis moment because I did not know what to do. And for the last my 8th grade year, like when I was an 8th grader, I started becoming more informed about politics, like listening a little bit more to the news, watching the news, and reading articles more when I was in 8th grade. And that's like post-Trump. Like that was Trump just got elected. And for me, at that young age, I was very confused about what's been going on in the country. And I just was like, I need to be informed. And I stayed informed. I wasn't involved in politics, but like I stayed involved. I stayed reading, and all of those things just made me more like passionate to like be involved in not only in the campaign aspects of politics, but also the public policy process. But my junior year, I tried to do that neurosurgeon route, and I took a health class or something where I think I was the only dude in the class. And I learned a lot from that semester. But I think after that one semester, I just said, I think I'm best cut out to be in politics, because I know there's people who are like, politics is nasty and politics is dirty, right? It is dirty and nasty. But if we don't get people who don't want it to be dirty and nasty, then you have to get people out there. And it takes me, it takes you, it takes everybody to, change something, right? And right now, but like junior year was my time where I had a little crisis, but then I was reaffirmed in my belief that I think politics is something that I want to do personally, and I love it. And so I got involved with the Young Democrats of South Dakota my junior year, and it's been history since then, because since I'm here now, and I've been fortunate enough to be a delegate to the Democratic National Convention. I have been fortunate enough to be on a campaign settings, fortunate enough to experience all of these things. And yeah, that's really why politics I decided to do.
See, I think people, and because recently, I'm going to say when I came here to Vermilion or to South Dakota, I started paying more attention to it, because at first I didn't understand it, but I love it. And I actually watch it. I watch all the stuff. So it could be like, for example, Charlie Kirk, the Young Turks. There's all this stuff. I watch it. I like it. It's entertaining. But also, I think a lot of people think like politics is a little taboo. They don't want to talk about it. But I think it's important, because politics is one of those things where it can influence you on what you do. Mm-hmm. It's very important. If you don't know what's going on, if you ignore it, for example, if people don't vote because I don't want to vote, well, you don't know what's going on. Maybe that thing could affect you. That's why you got to kind of pay attention. Like for these past elections, I've been paying attention and talking. I started getting a little more, when I say involved, talking, like for example, it could be here with the mayors at the city council, or it could be with the representatives like Sidney Davis or Chris Casson. Even next week on Wednesday, I'm doing an episode with Dusty Johnson. They said, hey, yeah, it's cool. So I think it's very important. I think people are just a little, I don't know why a lot of people are kind of like scared to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it in the young mind's perspective, because for me, working in politics and doing all of this has made me think about how I would message, or how I would go, talk to a young person in a campaign setting. And right now, especially for young people, political apathy is a thing that we've always had, but the headlines, every single time when you look at the news, you're just like, what the hell? You're like, what the fuck is going on right now? True. And that just kind of scares a lot of people, one. And then there's also a myriad of what the current administration is doing right now, attacking students' rights and retaliating against their own First Amendment rights. That looks like, oh, if I speak up, if I do something, maybe somebody's going to come after me and retaliate against what I say, right? And so, but I think we need students and young people who are going to combat and fight against all of those things, so that we can tell students hey, I know that this is what's going on right now, but if we allow ourselves to be distracted, if we allow ourselves to be not engaged, then you are giving power to the people who are literally taking the rights that you have away from you right now. And being politically apathetic is not going to be solving the crisis we have in this country. When it comes to affordability, for example, young people face one of the worst affordability crises in any generation, right? But we're not doing a single damn thing about it. We're not doing a single damn thing about it. And it's incumbent on us, the current generation of leaders, the old hags, they're not doing a single thing to
put us in the right track that's going to be about giving us that affordable life, giving us health care, making sure that we're protecting education so that we have a workforce that is educated and we're not diminishing the power of education. And when we also talk about the power of education, we also have to talk about it in the context of we have to protect academic freedom too. We have to make sure that students can academically, debate, academically do things without having to fear the government, doing something. And a lot of young people also, I want them to also know that there's so many people who fought, there's so many people who fought for freedoms, right? Like the right for you to vote, the right for you to do all of these things, the right for you to give them a middle finger to the fucking government. People walked in Selma on a bridge, massacred. People were gunned down. People were hosed down for their rights. And there's a lot of people right now who are alive who experienced that, in the 60s, in the 40s, in the 30s, all of those horrible things that people experience. There's some people who are alive. And I think it would be a sign to them if a lot of young people decided to just not be political and not get involved in politics. If they see that right now, that's just a slap on their face on my part. To me, we need to continuously fighting for equality. We need to continuously fighting for rights because it will never stop. Because there's always going to be people who want to take away that right because they're always going to be supporting a special interest. And so you need to always be engaged. And that's what I'm trying to implore to young people. But you have to find it in a way that's authentic to young people, right? You can't find it in you can't have a corporate guy come up to a bunch of college students and be fancy words and give a 30-minute speech. You have to be connecting with them. You have to understand the pain that they're going through. And how do you understand the pain that a lot of young people are going through? You get a young person out there.
Yeah, someone that represents. Yeah. One of the issues that I like talking about is immigration. I feel like, especially coming up here north, because down south it's more common. I live more in I'm more connected to the Hispanic community over there. And up here, everyone's fine. Everyone's great. But I think they have a misconception of the immigration. And that's because I know a lot. I've had family, I had friends. And I'll give you one of the first examples. And I've talked about it before. You hear it sometimes where they say, oh, well, these illegal immigrants are getting free money, this and that, whatever. And my taxes are going to this. The first thing I'm like, whoa. First of all, you can't this is what I remember. If you're an illegal immigrant, first of all, you don't have a social security number. You have to have a social to receive, benefits. That's why I'll just speak from people that I know and back home in Texas, a lot of them do not ask for any help because you can't. If you ask for help, they'll find out. They're so scared. They're going to get caught. They'll get deported. So a lot of them just stick down low. So that's why if you see, for example, someone, that's a legal immigrant and probably they have this, it's because they actually worked for it. They're not asking for handouts. Or I don't know if it's changed over these years, but that's how I remember it. A lot of them they stick down low and they don't ask for anything. That's what I've seen. And I think with immigration, for me it's a hard one because I understand the law, the rules. You're not supposed to come here illegally. I understand that part, but I think, on my experience, a lot of people that I've known that came here, they come here. I'll speak for people that have come from Mexico. They come up here to have a better life, or most of them. Actually, I'm gonna talk about most of them. They just come up here to have to work at a job, make some money, and then they'll go back. They don't want to cause trouble. They don't want to do this and that. And sometimes the people that do stay, maybe they have family now and this and that, everything. And actually, life is better here because it is. Because I could speak a little bit about it. Because over there in Mexico, it's just, first of all, there's a bunch of, everyone knows this, a bunch of government corruption. Prices are just so high, and it's dangerous. And then the hours suck. Working hours, it's horrible. It sucks. That's why, when I head there on vacation, sometimes I'll talk to some family members. And I'm like, oh yeah. For example, there's people that work at a retail store. They're making $15 and they're working 8 hours and they're complaining. And they're like, really? Only 8 hours? Met $15? I want to head over there. I want to do this. Yeah. These people want to come here and they want to work and they'll work hard and that's it. They don't want to cause trouble. But yeah, that's one of the misconceptions that I think about that benefit stuff.
And like for me, when it comes to even the immigration debacle, it's not a debacle. We do have a crisis in our southern border. Like that is a true fact. There's people, a lot of people coming into the country, which is not like I don't want to say you can't come into this country, but we need to make sure that we are making legal immigration as much possible so that we can, increase more, like the increase of lawyers at the southern border, more judges. A border wall is not going to fix a damn thing.
Nope.
Giving border patrol agents a bunch of guns is not going to fucking solve a problem. What's going to solve a problem is if you look at the structural, institutional way and you see what's going on right now is that we don't have a lot of lawyers down in that area. We don't have a lot of judges in that area. The process to even get people asylum and all of the, applications that they have to do to get to the country, it's a slow process because we don't have a lot of people even. Right now, you're going to see even a slower process because the current administration is literally firing people left and right for no cause to cut savings. But it's just going to cause so many administrative, even with the cuts, we already see a lot of administrative issues with immigration and DHS and all that stuff. Imagine that exacerbated with those cuts now with no fewer, border patrol agents or DHS officials who could be processing those applications and getting it faster so that you can get these people legally. Because for me, I just think this entire immigration thing for the whole Republican Party, and you're going to have Dusty Johnson here next week, and he's going to tell you all of this thing, is that it's a scare tactic. It's a fear-mongering tactic. Because a year ago, when we're talking about all of the things that the Republicans want to do with the border, right? They want to increase funding for border patrol agents, right? We had a bill last year that literally fucking did all of that. We had a bipartisan bill, because we understand in the public policy process in America, we're a centrist country. We are at our heart a centrist country, and you're not gonna be, fixing all the crises in Congress by yourself. You have to work with people across the aisle, and the state of Congress right now, you do kind of need to work with people. And there was a bipartisan bill last year, around January and February. The one person who literally stopped that from becoming a law was Donald Trump. Because why? Republicans would rather see an issue be a political issue than be solved. Because the immigration crisis could be solved, right? Not solved, but it could be mitigated and sustainably, quickly. And if we just bring people to the table and we bring the right actors to the table, which is you need Republicans to get a lot of immigration policies done. We need Republicans, right? But we can't do that because Republicans right now would rather bullshit their way and use this as a fear tactic when a lot of Americans don't even understand the bigger picture. Because a lot of immigrants, as you alluded to earlier, they bring economic benefits. They bring economic power. They bring jobs to the communities that they're going to be living in. Because do you want to, the person who always says they're stealing our jobs, Bob, do you want to fucking do the job where somebody is working 15 hours a day, hot, 97 degrees in the summer, doing construction? That immigrant worker who's doing that job, he's doing it because there's someone else in this country who's not doing it.
Yeah.
And that's multiple thousands and millions of jobs out there in this country where I'm going to say not Native Americans, but American citizens, they are not doing those jobs. So if you're going to complain about people stealing your goddamn jobs, why the hell don't you put the vest on and you go work 15 hours and you get that job? Because come on, it's just, I think, bullshit coming from anyone in the Republican Party or the conservatives who are saying, oh, they're going to steal our jobs. No one is stealing anyone's job. That's not a reality. No one's fucking eating dogs. No one's doing any of these fucking things. It's just for a normal person, it's just mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to think that Republicans can say all of this thing and they won in 2024, but it's also the Democrats' fault why they won a little bit because the way we were going about the entire election was really bad. But the entire immigration crisis is because again, Republicans want to make it a crisis.
Yep.
They want to continuously make it a crisis when you can easily come to the table, work with together, and find a common solution that's going to solve or mitigate the situation that we're facing in the southern border. Because if they don't have that as a political issue anymore, what else can they run on? They can run on the economy, but look at the economy right now.
Back in the day, my dad would say when he was younger that he says there was no border wall around Texas. There was no border wall. It was just, he actually said it was just a line. You go back and forth, super easy. And I think that's what a lot of people would do in Mexico, you know, during like a season. You go there for a while and then you just come back. And that's it. Everything was fine. I don't know what happened. But speaking of that taking jobs, I think I know what happened. Because it's so weird because you would think that, you know, oh, well, capitalist mindset. If the business is said, oh, well, if these people, for example, these Mexicans, they want to work for less, sure, I'll take them. That's fine. That's all good. That's how it works. If the like that capitalism society or scenario works, but then the people that lost their job, they're complaining about it. But if you think about it, aren't you the one saying that, oh, so that means someone's better than me, I should probably look for someone else. But no, they're actually, no, I want to protect that's, you can't just pick one or the other. But I think that's what they started complaining. And the problem, what happened is that, you know, I guess probably like in, you know, the Mexicans are like, oh snap, we can't go over no more. They probably made it super strict. The ones that are already there, they're like, well, I might as well just stay. And they'll just keep going and keep going and keep going. So I don't know what their solution is now, but everything was fine, I think.
And for the immigration issue that Donald Trump right now and the Republicans want to continuously make it an issue, it started right now with going after illegal immigrants, right? And then it started going to international students who were voicing their opinions on...
International students?
There's currently in the country, international students are being targeted for voicing their opinions on Gaza and Palestine. But then the president has started using language like, maybe we're going to send American citizens to El Salvador. That fucking scares me. Because to me, as an American citizen, if you are going to send me to El Salvador for speaking my own damn mind, like as First Amendment, like if that's what you're doing to international students right now, what does that mean for me as an American citizen? And some people like to say he just jokes around, but Donald Trump, when he says things, he means it. Like he doesn't just fucking joke around. Like he does mean it, and he means it. Like the birthright citizenship thing started out as a joke, and now he's actively trying to do that, which is the dumbest thing in the world because he's not going to achieve anything. But like the immigration issue, all of that stuff, to me, that big picture is, again, like Republicans do not want to achieve a single damn thing with this. They don't. In 2028, immigration will continue to be an issue. 2032, immigration will be an issue. You know why? Republicans won't solve it. Donald Trump says he's going to solve it. He's going to do all this stuff. He's going to do all this stuff. He's not. He's not going to solve it. He's going to make it a political issue. Republicans are going to make it a political issue. Even for the economy-wise, last year, the economy was doing really well, right? But the way the Democrats messaged a little bit wasn't that good. But if you say things enough, you know, which Republicans and Donald Trump said a lot of these things. If you said things a lot, people start believing it, and then you start believing it. And so Donald Trump, I 100% believe everything he says on the immigration crisis. They're going to continue to make it a fucking political issue.
So, man, when during that election with Kamala Harris and Trump, I voted for Trump. And right now, I mentioned it before, I think I kind of regret because everything sounded so good what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I thought everything was going to be great, especially because this is what they were saying that I remember they said, oh yeah, once the 2025 hits, you know, we'll have lower interest rates, everything, gas prices will shoot. It just went up. I just saw it. It'll go lower, prices will start dropping and this and that.
He said, and I quote, not quote, I will paraphrase what he has said. He said, on my first day as president, on my first 100 days, we're going to do all of this. He said we were going to stop the war in Gaza on his first day. The war's still going on. He said the grocery prices were going to go down in 100 days. Walmart is about to fucking raise prices on groceries. Target is about to, I don't think Target maybe? Yeah, Target, I think it is. I don't, maybe fact check me on this or later, but Target is joining the frenzy to increase prices right now because of the president's tariffs. And I think a lot of people in 2024, that's where, you know, the messaging for him, like, yeah, you got to he made things sound really good.
He did.
And he's an authentic person. I got to give it to you right there. Like, he's real. Like, what he says is what he says. And that's attractive to people. And I think that's where the Democratic Party a little bit did horrible on last year. And which is, well, you know, you don't need to be a corporate person. You don't need to find 250, ways to say something is bullshit, right? Like, you can say something is bullshit. And with Trump's economic policy and how they were messaging it, they were trying to be the bigger person, right? Like, they were trying to be the adult in the room, say fancy words, try to make you understand like what he is saying is not correct. All you could have just done is that all you could have said is that everything he is doing right now, the economists have said that it's gonna cause a recession by next summer, right? So you should have just continuously told people about that. And also, you should have been running on your own economic agenda because, yes, the economy wasn't as good as it should have been, but we were in a recovering, like when you go through a massive crisis like COVID-19, same thing with Obama, right? He went through the 2008 recession, and through the 2008, through his first term, he was really rebuilding the economy. 4 years in, no one was really happy with Obama and how the economy was. So a lot of people really did believe that he was going to lose that 2012 run. Everyone thought Mitt Romney was going to win, but it's just because he was popular and his charisma, and obviously it's Barack Obama. So you're like, it's Barack Obama. But like, and that Osama bin Laden really killed. Oh yeah, that really did help him. But after Obama's second term and he left office, the economy was doing pretty well. Like, we were starting to, people were having higher wages, and Trump inherited essentially a recovered economy because George W. Bush fucked it up. Bill Clinton, and this is a historical thing too for the economy. Like, the Republicans have always inherited a good economy for Democrats, and Democrats always inherit a shitty economy from Republicans because they have always continuously been having this policy of trickle-down economics. Ronald Reagan brought that up, where if you cut taxes for the rich, they're going to invest it to
the
trickle down.
Yeah,
that's that's the dumbest shit in the world on the planet. Like, if I have billions of dollars, you think I'm going to spend it back? Like, especially with the greedy billionaires that we have right now, like, they're not going to spend it on anything. They want to go to Mars right now. So they don't want to fix the issues in Earth right now. They want to go to Mars. Oh,
I do want to ask about what's your opinion on like taxes? Because we hear that, bigger taxes on the rich. Some will say no, lower taxes and that. As let's say if I was, I'll give an example. If I was a business owner, but not a billionaire and millionaire, but let's say I'm making good money, this and that. But do you think it would be better to lower the taxes so I could like kind of reinvest? I guess kind of like that trickonomics, or is there like a limit where,
for me, the type of economic policy I would go forward with is where, one, we're closing all the loopholes that allows billionaires and millionaires not to even pay a dime in taxes. Close the loopholes that allows corporations to not even pay a single dime in taxes. So closing those loopholes will bring revenues back for us. And then also there's going to be, for me, I think giving the middle class a tax cut is what I believe in. I don't think if you're making, $5 million a year, I don't think you should get a tax cut. Like, you don't deserve a tax cut. But if you're making, less than $100,000 or $400,000, yeah, you're in the middle class bracket. You deserve it. And especially, right now, it's a true case where in America right now, there's a single mother who works 2-3 jobs, who has, 4 kids, and she's paying more taxes percentage wise, not in quantity wise, amount of money wise, but in percentage wise, she's paying more money in taxes than Elon Musk is.
Really?
right? And then Elon Musk is not even a U.S. citizen. I think he is a U.S. Maybe
Is he?
Is he a U.S. citizen? I don't know. Maybe
I don't think so.
Check me.
Yeah, I'll check
me
that
on
too.
that one. But maybe he's a U.S. citizen. But he's a South African citizen. Like he like if he's a South African citizen and not a U.S. citizen, he has to pay taxes to South Africa. And so he's not even paying taxes. Maybe, and he's giving opinions on what should happen in our country. Like while a mother.
Yeah, that one's kind of weird.
Yeah, while a mother working multiple jobs is paying more taxes than a man who potentially doesn't even have a say in our elections.
Did you hear about that South African refugee stuff?
Yeah, that's just bullshit coming from the president's mouth.
I thought it was a joke at first because I was like, well, hold on, South Africans. And they were saying, yeah, they're trying to come here. But then I saw like they were kind of supporting it. And I was like, wait.
Dumbest shit I've ever heard
Well,
in
you
my
can't
life.
just. I mean, I'm good with like, hey, you want to take in some refugees? That's fine. But I feel on my part, and I'll say because I'll be honest, it looks like they're kind of catering to them versus because you got other people from like Latin American countries or African countries or Middle Eastern, but you're like, no. But in South Africa, you're like, yeah, that's fine. And I heard they were saying, oh, there's genocide, this and that. But then I also heard someone saying, I think it was like the Venezuelans, they were saying, no, they can't come because there's not that much stuff. But actually, it's a pretty bad place. That's why they're trying to escape. So I thought it was a joke. But yeah, they're coming here and then there's kind of like support, which it's fine.
There's going to be support because Republicans are not going to say a damn thing. Well, like, I'm going to bring this whole picture. Like, I think one thing that Democrats, I think, really do horribly on is where the party has become such an anti-Trump party where you can be anti-Trump, but you also need to be providing a vision that is alternative to Donald Trump, right? If he's saying, oh, I'm going to do all this and it's going to be glorious and all that stuff, right? Like, yeah, call out all of his economic policies and say that they're bullshit, but also tie it up with your own economic agenda that's actually going to be giving people, affordable housing, making sure that we're not giving people affordable housing, but making sure that we are setting policies that allows us to build more homes, to ensure that housing is affordable, especially for young people right now. There's a lot of young people who can't find housing and they struggle to do that. And so how can we fix the affordability crisis? That's what we need to be focusing on as Democrats right now. We need to focus on how we can fix the housing crisis. We're not in power, but we need to be focusing on the next couple of years, one, connecting back with the American people, like going to communities. I'm going to be doing that next year. The next academic year, I'm going to be traveling across South Dakota. I'm going to go to communities and I'm going to connect with communities. And essentially, it'll be like a town hall series. And I'm going to connect with South Dakotans because I want to understand what South Dakotans are going through. And I want to, and especially college students, especially young people, I want to understand what they're going through so that the policies that I am introducing are actually policies that someone has looked at and said, oh, yeah, this is something that I'm facing right now. And it's every day is an issue that every day that I'm facing. And they are talking about it and they want to address it instead of, issues that don't necessarily matter. They do matter, but especially you can tie like equality, for example, right? Like I'm always an equality. I'm a Democrat. Equality is in my name. But we need to find a way for us to talk about equality and also include all those bread and butter issues because people do want equality, but a lot of people in this country, especially in a lot of minority communities in 2024, when you saw that shift to the Republican Party and Donald Trump is because I think a lot of people are dissatisfied with the Democratic Party's agenda and how they are not even, giving people equity and justice, right? Equity and justice is you can give equality, you can have equality, but a lot of people want equity and justice, right? Okay. And making sure that people actually have a way to stand up on not only on their own because government can't do everything, but how can you uplift communities to actually ensure that, they have a healthy lifestyle? Small governmental changes to even the environment, right? Impact the community. Like if you change the economy, if you change the environment, you change people's healthy lifestyle, right? If you fix the economy, people become more, not the economy, I keep saying economy, but the environment. True. If you fix the environment, you make the environment cleaner, people's things are healthier. When people are healthier, people are productive, right? And when you're productive, you are more willing to contribute to the economy, and you're going to contribute to a productive society, right? And that is a good thing for the economy. And that's a good thing for the economy, in my opinion.
Yeah, it will get that domino effect. Speaking of, when you were mentioning about like minorities, I want to speak a little bit on this, and maybe it'll kind of hit on the university. Hopefully they don't fire me, but this is something that me and my wife talk about, because we hear it sometimes, but it never affected us, when they say like, as being a minority, I don't want to say the oppression, but it's kind of hard, and the DEI stuff and all that. We haven't seen it, or like it hasn't affected us. We're thinking, okay. And also it doesn't.
A majority of them, like I'm going to say like 90, maybe 80% of Americans, the day-to-day, like when even in the election, right? I feel like I should have said this to somebody, right? Like somebody, even for you voted for Donald Trump, and I wish I could have, talked to you before the election, but like I would want you to like take a step back, right?
Okay.
And be like, all right, okay. So they're saying all of this stuff, right? Like they're saying they're eating cats and dogs, all the bullshit, right? Like they're immigrants are raping raping people, and violence is up in America, right? Like all the scare tactics that they used. Take a step back and be like, is this actually happening in my day-to-day life? And have I traveled across have I been to places and I've talked to people? Is this something that actually like every single day people are going through? Are you actually like leaving your house with your gun? Like, oh yeah, I'm about to go at everybody. Like, no one like was going through any of that. No one was killing babies until 9 months. Now, like, all of that.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
All of that to me was bullshit. Like, it's just bullshit for people to be scared. Because when you have people, when you have scared people, like when people are fearful, prejudice starts to occur. And that's the whole Republican playbook. And it's not just Donald Trump. The Republican playbook has been about being complacent in allowing a man who is a convicted felon, right? Who is known, by a lot of people who have known him closely to be someone who morally is an abhorrent person, right? Even morally outside of it, right? Even for the economic policies. These tariffs, they're not good for us. They're not good because for decades we have built a supply chain. We have for decades built an economic blueprint, a global economic blueprint where everyone is interdependent with one another. Like everyone is dependent. Like I depend on, like if you're France, for example, right? I fucking depend on you for some supply that I need to manufacture this product.
Free trade,
right? And you can't rewrite the whole global trade playbook or even America's international playbook overnight, even a year or 4 years. It takes like years to develop this whole thing, and for the president to just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to increase tariffs on you, increase tariffs on that, increase tariffs on that." It just doesn't hurt us. It allows literally China, the goddamn country that the president talks so much about. It allows China to go to our allies and say, America's abandoning you right now, but I have a home for you. And that's a fucking reality that Americans have not realized that.
Man,
you're telling France, you're telling Germany, you're telling all of those countries, fuck you. And Republicans are complacent.
I thought the tariffs, when they were talking about it, the campaigns, they're, I'm gonna put tariffs. I thought all that stuff was bullshit. Like, he's not gonna do it. There's no way he would do it. But then he started doing it, and then I was wondering, because it was one of the things that I don't agree on the tariff. I like the free trade. That makes the world like that, and there's some stuff we can't do. And I was trying to think, okay, what are they trying to do about it? Because me and my wife were talking about it, because she was like, she understands it, but I was like, there's no way. It makes no sense. So I understand they want to put tariffs so America could provide more stuff instead of getting stuff from other countries. I know the mindset, but the thing is, a few things. There's some stuff we can't do that other countries, they could do. And also, if you want to build more factories, okay, that's fine. But it takes years to build factories, especially because of the regulations. So I don't know what's going to happen in those 4 years. You probably just blocked off. You just made it more expensive. For example, I don't know, video games. I'm more common because I see the prices going up. video games in Japan, let's say they put a tariff on it.
Yeah.
Now it's super high. Oh, you want more people to develop right here, but it's going to take a while. And then after those 4 years, I don't even know what's going to happen. Now all video games are going to be expensive because you just ruined.
I just know that my little brother, Hi Munwar, he is going to be pissed with the video games because that's going to go up.
$80. It already went up. Like I just, because I pay attention to that stuff. So for example, Nintendo, and I don't know if it's because of the tariffs, because they're from Japan, they just rose their new Nintendo Switch 2, the games, $80. It's starting. The new Mario Kart is $80.
Yeah.
And I was checking the comments, and a lot of them were saying, "Oh, it's probably the tariffs." I'm like, $80. That is expensive. And then Xbox, they just announced it, and they just did it. They rose their prices up. And then Sony says for the holiday, they're going to raise their prices up because I think all the manufacturers in like other countries.
And then like Republicans did like things like rename the Gulf of Mexico. They did things like rename a mountain. Did any of that like literally fucking help people, with their prices? No, it didn't help them. But what they did allow is continuously allow the president to go on a path that is disastrous for the American working class. For the ordinary American, right now, you just mentioned like video games. They're not like, video games are not that important, right? But video games are it's a microscope of like the larger picture, which is right now you are seeing companies who do not like the president's tariffs, who are telling the president, we're going to raise prices if you do it. And he's not budging. And you have a Republican Party who's not willing to stand up to the president. And I think what makes us different, as a party, the Democrats and the Republicans, that for us, we are actually able to stand up to our leader. Like for us, we are able to actually like kick our guy out, replace the guy with somebody else, because that's what Americans wanted. But we forgot a little bit about the messaging, but we had a conversation within our own party about where we want to go in the direction of our party. We did not want a party that is run by old people anymore.
True.
I'm not going to be, as a college Dems president, I'm not going to advocate, primarying, incumbents, but I think we need to start putting more young people out there.
New blood.
And Republicans right now are going to face that crisis soon because post-Trump, Trump is the only reason why this whole coalition is together. Mm-hmm. And when he's gone, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be a bloodbath. And he should he should be picking a successor, but it's going to be a bloodbath.
Have you guys, with the Democrat Party, thought about doing ways to, I guess you guys are doing it, more ways to like connect? Because I think one of the things that's kind of influenced me on those elections, and I'm not going to lie, because I still listen to him, Charlie Kirk, especially because he's younger and, he goes to the campuses, and that helped a lot. I think that's what influenced me because I still listen to him. I like it's very entertaining. It's great and makes me listen to the stuff. And I haven't seen anyone like on Democratic Party do that yet, unless I'm not paying too much attention.
We don't have a mechanism within, not Democratic Party, but within we have people who are, there to like cause people to like react to things, right? Like those like, I don't know if you know Harry Sisson or something. Like those people, they are the reactionary ones. Like they want you to react to what they're saying. For me, I would rather do that, but also I want to have, stuff behind that. I want to, every time I'm talking, the way I'm talking, if I'm saying, being my real authentic self, am I registering 20 students? Am I registering 50 young people? Like that's the mindset that we want to start having. And every single time, if we do create this atmosphere, which I'm telling you right now, we're not going to be having donors telling us to fucking have a Joe Rogan of the left. We don't need to have a Joe Rogan of the fucking left. I think what Democrats just keep forgetting is that you need to just be yourself. I think Americans just want you to be yourself. And nobody is asking you to be like, be morally upstanding, right? Like be morally upstanding, be a leader. But if you see something that's fucking wrong, like say it's fucking wrong, and have a backbone and stand on the fucking things that you want to run on. Like if you believe this is the economic policy that you want to run on, don't sidestep and try to find multiple ways to maybe, oh, let's change this economic policy. If this is your economic policy, if your economic policy is to give people 15 hours plus an hour wage, protect workers, ensure that, students are protected and their freedom are not infringed upon, young people have an opportunity in this country, housing is affordable, education is affordable. Start with a community college first to, sure. For that free college, but
I did that, yeah.
Start that, maybe make community college free, right? We need to start actively talking about the bread and butter issues, and we need to stand and have a backbone on those things. And that's what I think a lot of, especially even within the Democratic Party, that so many people, that pisses me off sometimes. Cause for me, I'm done being a corporate. I'm done trying to hold back on things, because I have held back so much within the party and everything. And I'm not doing that anymore. I think the party does need to do this route, not through donors.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be through young people taking the mantle and taking matters to their own hands to call out, one, the bullshit that's happening in DC, in Pierre, in all the places, but also we need to actively be combating with the extreme right in how we communicate to young people. We don't need a press release. Okay. We need to be you need to be yourself. And for me as president of College Democrats, that's the route I'm taking. I'm going to be making sure that I connect with young people, that I understand what young people are actually going through. And I do understand what a lot of young people are going through. I'm young myself. I'm broke. I'm a broke college student. So being broke is a thing in my definition. And I just want, a life that's affordable, a life that's sustainable. Right. And and this is the thing I'm going to say you don't have to be a Democrat or a Republican right here. Right. Every young person right now, if anyone's listening, affordability is not a Democrat or a Republican issue. It's an everybody issue. Healthcare, it's an everyday issue. But right now, the hardcore truth is that there's a lot of young people who can't find a job, who, as I said earlier, who can't find housing. As I said earlier, the hardcore truth of fake it till you make it is a real thing within our generation, right? And so yes, we need our leaders to stand up, and we need our leaders to do all that stuff, but it's incumbent on us to do it on our own too. It is incumbent on us to encourage that one friend who, is a little interested in politics, who has a little passion in there, right? Encourage that person to continue to be involved, and maybe encourage that person to run for office. I'm not going to run for office because I'm a student right now, and that's not my plan. But if I see a young person who is passionate about making sure that we have an affordable life, that we have affordable healthcare, we protect women's rights to choose, and make sure that we have exceptions, and we give people the right to choose. All of those things are going to happen only if we take it. If all of those things are going to come to you, only if you take it. Mm-hmm. And right now, young people are not taking it. And they need to take it, and they need to step out of their comfort zone. Yes, to me, this is something I battled on my own. Oh yeah, if I say something, if I go out and be more expressive, there's going to be people who are going to call me names. There are people who are going to probably have death threats against me, right? But that shows you that you're doing something right. When people are against you, you're doing something right. And I know that there's a lot of young people who want to say something, who want to do something, and are just scared. And if you're scared, I want you to listen to me. I was scared just like you, but if we're continuously being scared, then it's going to allow other people to just make decisions for us. When we're saying, I don't like this, then why are you letting that person make that decision for you? Get in the fucking ring and do the damn job. Come on, roll up your sleeve, fight. Let's do this together. And that's my message every single day to young people. It is you, my man. Mm-hmm. It's incumbent on you to do it.
No, you are right. A few years ago when they had the election for, when it was city council, I've had some people, because I started paying attention in Vermilion, what's going on, this and that. And I was like, hey, why don't we do this or this or this? And I had a few people, well, actually a lot of people, they were saying, hey, you should run for city council. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Let's go. And I was doing it in the ward. And, I started paying attention. And then there was two people running in my ward. And it was the first day you get your petition. And I backed out. I got so scared. And I was like, no, it's because those two people they probably know more than me. I don't know nothing about politics. Or look at these. This person is like a director of this, or this person is a business owner of this, or this person has a higher. I'm just a normal average guy. And because I was saying, oh, we need some. I like the people. I'm not saying they're old. They're not old. But I was like, oh, maybe someone that's a little more younger. But I got scared. I backed out. And I should have. I don't know. But I think you're right. I think a lot of people, they want to speak their mind, but they're too scared because especially, well, I was scared. I don't know what's going to happen because I didn't know politics. They could be a little dirty. I know one person that, man, they attacked them a lot. But you're right. But speaking of this stuff, I want to talk about some of the solutions that we might have. Especially, I want to talk about education and healthcare. I don't think the solution is the government just handing out money to everyone. I don't think that's the solution. But with education, college is a good example, especially prices are going up. But do you think, is it because the prices are going up because, I'm thinking about like in a business point, more people are enrolling. So of course the university is, oh, more people are enrolling. Let's just raise it up. They're going to come. But do you think it's because the government's giving them it's so easy to get student loans. They'll just hand out student loans to anyone. So there's more people enrolling. And then the university is, oh, we'll just pay more or charge more. What do you think the solutions could be?
I don't know if I don't know if that's the case because for tuition continuously to go up, it literally, some universities just do it to raise it. Yes, enrollment is a factor, right? But some of the ways that people are raising it are just too much. Like you can't,
it's a lot.
There's a lot. And if you raise it, if you have more students, right, and you don't raise it, more students coming in is gonna, for us with the tuition freeze that we saw in the Board of Regents, we've had for a while, that led to an increase of enrollment, and it kept us cheaper in the state, and it brought more money for USD because more people were coming here.
True.
And so, yes, in some ways, the more people coming could be a factor of why tuition is going up, but I don't think universities don't have to do it all the time. They don't need to be raising prices every single year, but maybe within maybe a 5-year framework, they raise it for a couple of percentage, a percentage. But there's cases where universities are doing it every single year, raising tuition every single year. You don't need to be doing that. And in some areas, it's a technique to shut out a whole other group of people out of education. If you make education expensive, you're going to drown out people who are low-income communities, and especially people who are in the minority communities who do want to go to college. You are telling those people that necessarily can't come because of their income and their income status. But for me, when it comes to how we can make education affordable, it starts with the community college level. Mm-hmm. I would want to start with making community college tuition free, and then seeing how that works, and using that 2-year model as an example of has it been working? Because for me, I'm a firm believer of try it until if just try it and see if it's gonna work out, because
I like that.
You're never gonna know if anything's gonna work out. And so community college is the first step, because I don't think 4 years tuition for 4 years is gonna be a thing that's gonna happen right now. But community college is always a good start. And also community college, I went to community college, you went to community college, and it's a really good benefit thing. And so I think starting with that is a solution, in my opinion. But there's also far more experienced people who know other ways to solve it too. So
yeah, I think it's the other alternative, especially because I didn't know it was common for people straight out of high school just to go, 4 years into a university. And I did not pay attention to the price because, during my senior year, I didn't even have plans to go to college. I skipped after graduation, I skipped a semester, and then I was like, oh, well, let me go to a community college. And it was, I don't know how much it is now, but back then it was you take it was full time, and it was I think per semester. It was either per year or per semester. It was $700. it was nice. And I did that I took all of that, and then I transferred to do the last year and a half or 2 years or something. And that tuition, I don't know what it is now, but it was like $4,000. I'm like, whoa, it's kind of expensive. I don't even know how much it is now, but I don't know why people don't. I don't know if they know there's other alternatives. I'm not saying college is a waste of time too, but like, hey, head to a community college first, save some money, get some more scholarships, or maybe you don't have to go directly to it. Cause I think, and I'll talk about on my stance, cause I'm the first one to go to college in my family. My dad and my mom, they didn't go. I think my dad's, I think he was the first one out of his group to graduate high school, I think. And what they thought is, oh, you go to college and you start making bank. I thought that too, because they didn't know how it worked. And then I graduated and I was like, well, where's the bank? Where's all that money? Where do I go? Until I, transferred here and everything's kind of, it's okay. But I think that might be also a little misconception too. Like people think, oh, if you go to college, once you get out, you'll be making a lot of money. But no, that's not the case.
I think for a lot of for my generation, for example, and it's a whole young, I think it's not just my generation, but I think my generation right now is starting to get into a little bit more where while you're in college, you get that outside experience. Because right now, academics is important too, but like your outside experience is going to be more important to a potential hire than what you were involved in college. And so making sure that you're out there and giving yourself that opportunity, and your university providing those opportunities to go out and professionally put yourself out there, network more with companies. I'm so happy that I got to focus on that, like make sure that because I'm confident that after I graduate, I can find a job because of all of the myriad of things. And there's a lot of young people in my generation are getting into that. But to your point about college and all of that, we live in 2025 right now, right? And you don't need to go to college. You don't need to go to college to make six figures anymore, right? And that's also a shift that we're seeing, especially amongst young people. And it's something that I don't want to say that college is not important, because to me, I personally love college. Like I believe that it was instrumental in, building who I am. I learned a lot of lessons, bad and good, and mistakes I've made. And so that I think college is beneficial to me, but that's me, right? That's not Joe right here or Matthew right here. Like Matthew maybe wants to be an athlete and not be involved in school, and he wants to go be a star athlete. You can make a life for yourself outside of college. And I think right now people, especially my generation, we are hitting that mark where you don't really need a college degree to make it out here. And I don't want anyone who is listening to this or watching this to think that college is the only route for you. Like right now in this era, maybe 20 years ago, that was the thing where college was the only way for you to be successful. But now that's not the case anymore. We live in a heavily technologically advanced society. You can find something that's going to make you rich. TikTok. You can find
streaming, anything like that.
And so I think communicating to young people now that you have multiple opportunities outside of college is another solution, right? But we also need to make college affordable for the students who do want to put themselves out there, who do want to get that education, who do want to be in the, maybe they want a white collar job, right? And so they want to be in that experience level. That's for them. We need to make sure that we're making it affordable, and especially for low income communities, not handing out things, but having, need-based scholarships are a good tool for people. I don't believe in the government handing out stuff to people. Should never be the government's job. The government's job should not be there to support you and not to say support you, but not to hold your hand every single day. Yeah. Maybe the government needs to hold your hand for a few short times to get you on your feet. That's it. But I think you don't need the government all the way. And if you lose your job, I think we do have like a certain amount of months where you can be on unemployment, and then the government will help you find a job. You know, like maybe we create a jobs, I don't know, a lot of countries have like a jobs guarantee program or something like that, where if the government were to offer something like that for unemployed citizens to in their duration that they're like in assistance, you're working on getting them a new job, applying for a new job, helping them with like maybe interviews, something that you want. Interview is not something I think is going to be a thing, because I don't think the U.S. government is going to have time to dedicate it to every American citizen. But I think offering opportunities that like get somebody ready to get back on their feet once they are in that tough situations. But I also do understand that like there's some people who just can't, you know, be on their own. And that's why the government is there. And the government is not necessarily there to fix problems. It's there to push things in the right direction. And when you have leaders who are there to actually do that, then the government is actually going to be good, right? Right now, we don't have a government, and we don't have a government that's focused on moving us in the right direction. We have a government that is telling Americans, we're going to distract you with a myriad of shit, and then we're going to do all this stuff. Even though we promised to do this, we're going to do this instead. Like, I promised to give you economic opportunity. I promised to do all this stuff, but guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to be supporting the billionaires and giving them tax cuts while I'm going to make you poorer. Because the whole new tax bill that the Republicans just came up with, that will literally add to the deficit. That will not deficit, to the national debt, like by over $4 trillion. That's going to leave middle-class Americans 10% poorer. 10%. Or is it the top 10%? But I know that from the CBO report that I looked at, Americans who are earning less are going to be poorer after 4 years, after 10 years. They are going to be poorer. And so the economic even that big, beautiful, you know, bill, it literally cut spending for rural, like South Dakotans who depend on FEMA. For let's say there's a disaster right now, right here in South Dakota, we have FEMA being cut right now by Christine Ohm and by Donald Trump, and Republicans are allowing that to happen. Like, literally cutting FEMA is a bad thing. You know why? Because literally last year, North Carolina, all those hurricanes that happened, right? There's still people who are recovering, who still are like going through it. And the FEMA has been there in some ways to help, and there's been assistance to make sure that people are getting back on their feet. But once you start cutting those type of assistance, imagine the whole bigger crisis that starts to unfold, people losing their homes, and the government is not coming in to help them a little bit and get them back on their feet. Like, and what if there's like a flooding, right? FEMA's going to come in, try to get that away, you know, like drain the water or something. Like, FEMA's supposed to be there when big crises happen. And when big crises happen and we are starting to have this institution being cut, it's going to cause a whole myriad of problems.
One thing I've talked to a lot of people around here that this is what they'll tell me. They say they don't want they're more of like less government, no government interference, nothing like that. They want to do whatever they want, all this and that. Could that be a problem? Let's say, just less government, let the people deal with it. And I was thinking about that problem, or that example you were giving, like FEMA. If there's like a disaster or something and there's no government, so let's say there's no government assistant, but do you think that's when communities, organization, nonprofit, even churches?
Communities can do so much. Just like, I'm going to put this, for example, I'm not speaking for the Student Government Association when I do this, but I'm going to use student government as an example, right? There's an issue that is happening right now, right? And student government can communicate, can like, let me see what I know. Like, student government, we have a bunch of student orgs that we fund, right? And student orgs can do whatever they want to an extent. And let's say student government, we're not going to touch this issue. I'm going to let you, the student org, deal with that. But student orgs can do only so much, right? They can only do so much. And that's the same thing. A community and a neighborhood can only do so much.
Okay.
you're not going to have a community or a neighborhood helping you drain a massive flooded area.
That's true.
Right? You're not going to have a community to, help you rebuild 5 blocks of destroyed homes. You're going to need the government to come in. You're going to need help for those things. And so in small cases, where like a little crisis occurs, community is always community is going to be there. Even if no government, like with government, no government, community is always there. With every crisis, community is there. But I think community is there to like emotionally support the people that are going through a crisis, right? If a community needs to, have a small fund together that helps these people get back on their feet, that's the community's job. Community job is to do the small little thing, like get you a plate to eat dinner, get you a meal worth, like a week worth of meals to make sure that your family are not starving, right? Those things are what community does. But the government does the bigger picture stuff of actually fixing our roads. For me, the bigger picture about politics too is that we focus so much, and in our conversation tonight, like we focus so much on the national level because that's so entertaining, right? Like we spent so much here today talking about what's happening in Washington D.C., but we didn't talk about what's happening in Pierre.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about what's happening in Vermilion, and that's where a lot of people, get lost in the noise.
You're right.
Politics does not occur in the national level. It does not. Those motherfuckers don't do a jack shit. They're not going to do it. With the system that's in place in Congress, they're not going to do anything. It's those local levels, the city council, the Vermilion mayor, your legislators, they're the ones who are actually doing the hardcore things that are going to benefit you and impact you, your roads, your drinking water. All those things are decided by your local elected officials. And for me, as a young person, I always want to communicate to other young people about how, I'm fucking pissed too that what they're doing over there. But guess what? In your own if you want to protect a woman's right to choose in your own local community, let's elect people and elect them to the legislature that's going to protect a woman's right to choose. Let's elect a governor that's going to codify Roe v. Wade or even strengthen Roe v. Wade to ensure that women are protected in the state. All of those things happen through the local level, and you can create, South Dakota can be its own little, just like Minnesota, right? Minnesota is a really reliably blue state, and they are not we face a budget constraint that like a lot of people don't understand or don't know that the South Dakota legislature right now, like for the last couple of years, has faced budget constraints, and like they don't, budget constraints, and it's because of bad economic policies that for decades, austerity cuts for decades, we have seen, and our GOP in the state party in this state right now, they're more focused about catering to the rich people, because I don't know if you listen to something called the Pandora Papers, which exposed, I don't know if you even know this, but it exposed like hundreds of public officials, foreign officials from other countries, where in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, if I'm for sure went to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and you just drive downtown and you just see all the trusts, core trust, all that stuff, there's billions, even trillions being stored in Sioux Falls, South Dakota right now.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Billion. And we don't tax any of that. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to solve, like I talked to somebody, and it's not going to like solve, if we do tax that's not going to solve anything, but like a 1% to 2% like income tax for, let's say, someone who's making over a certain income, not for anyone making 400,000, obviously, because that would essentially be taxing the working class, and people who are working hard every single day to lift up our economy, and they're the backbone of this country. But if you're making over $500 million, a 1% to 2% tax on, like, let's say your federal IRS tax, you just like do a few numbers, 1% to 2%, and then that will bring in like a couple of, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, which can solve some of the budget constraints that maybe will solve it. I'm not an economist, but I do believe from what I have seen, there's ways for us to solve some of the budget constraints. But the bigger picture is that we don't talk about local politics, right? And a lot of people just don't even know that if we changed a little bit of the direction in Pierre, a lot of issues, especially when we have a high number of teacher vacancies, because teachers are poorly paid in this state. If you change the budget constraint and you shift a lot of our priorities right now, you could pay teachers more and you would be attracting more teachers to come to the state, which wouldn't be causing a deficit in our education system right now. Like it wouldn't be.
Because now I'm trying to remember what we had on the last elections on not just the local, but on the state level. Do you remember that it was one of the issues about like a food tax?
Yeah.
Or no, taking it out.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I thought, oh yeah, they're going to
The Republicans ran on it to remove it. They said they were going to remove it. And I know that there was the amendment. I didn't vote for that amendment, as I believe that it was poorly written.
Okay.
Like it was horribly written. Yeah, it was poorly written. I don't know who wrote that, but it was badly written. So I didn't vote for it. But yeah, like they've campaigned on this and they haven't removed the tax on groceries yet.
Yeah, because
it's literally bullshit. Like literally all of them, their mouths is they rather say things that sound good to you. But this is a whole history thing for the Republican Party. They have they know how to get power, but they don't know how to fucking govern.
I think especially with the budget, this is how my mindset is kind of working. If it could be a local level, state level, let's say state level, with your budgets, and every year you have to restrict. Well, it looks like you guys don't know how to manage the money. And then you're asking more taxes because property taxes will rise and all that. But you guys don't know how to run it. So something needs to change, because if you guys were like a real business and, you got to keep borrowing money and everything's dropping, that means you guys can't do your job. So I don't know what the solution is. That's why one complaint I have with, if it's like a local level property taxes, because I don't have a problem with the people in the city. Everyone's fine. But like, for example, if they're saying, oh, well, there's budgets, we have to raise, y'all's property taxes. Well, actually, it means you guys can't manage money. Unless I'm thinking maybe it's more complicated than I think.
And like, even for taxing wise, like the bigger, like I'm going to talk about national stuff right now. Like they're going to get rid of like the no tips on tax, right? That sounds really good. Like any one of us would like to remove the tips on tax. But if you think about it in the bigger economic picture, if you're a very smart person and you look at that, you're like, okay, so they're removing no taxes on tips. So as a business owner or somebody, I could basically avoid paying taxes through just getting my income through tips. It's not going to be through like the structured, $15 an hour or like $11 an hour that you get from a business. Instead, a business or an individual can shift their way to just be like, okay, my main source of income is going to be, the waitress job. But the way I'm earning that job, that money is going to be through tips. And when you don't tax tips, you're not earning money back for the government, right? And the government has services it has to provide, defense, State Department, all that stuff. If you're a smart person, and a lot of people start like listening to that, it essentially allows people to avoid paying taxes, right? And when a lot of people start avoiding paying taxes, that starts to cripple the economy and the government, and that's not a good thing. And that just causes a whole, government, like we don't like government, like big government is not a good thing, right? Like we don't like government that's controlling everything that we do in our world, but we do need government sometimes to ensure,
sometimes. Maybe.
Yeah, you protect not just students, you protect the workers, you protect the American citizens. But right now you are seeing from Republicans, they're toying with economic policies that have been shown to have been they're not going to do anything. Like the tariffs aren't going to do anything, but they don't want to like shift directions because they don't want to piss off Donald Trump. And the whole reality is like, This man is basically a lame duck, right? He can't run again. He literally is going to be gone in 4 years.
So what do you think he won? Why was he so popular?
I think it's because he was real and authentic. That's why.
Because even it was popular with, I know with Latino voters. Well, I am. I guess I did vote for him. So I think you're right.
He was more popular with men because I think he displays the macho-ness and the way, just the communication was really well. And he was also himself. Like you are getting the Donald Trump, like if he's at a press conference as president of the United States, you're going to get the same Donald Trump 2 hours ago at a private dinner.
I think that's social media.
That's social media, but like that's who Donald Trump is. Like that's his persona. And I think a lot of people like, and they find him to be, I sometimes find him to be funny. I don't find his policies to be funny, but like I find him to be funny sometimes.
He's a funny guy sometimes.
And so that's relatable to people, and that's relatable. And so relatability helps along the way. Even if you're like having a second thought, like, oh my God, I think he's not that.
Yeah.
He actually, I don't agree with some of this, but you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, there was
I want to see him, like that's where a lot of people, I think there's a myriad of reasons why Donald Trump won. One, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He's the biggest factor, in my opinion, on why he won. I think I want to say thank you to President Trump. I'm not going to, not President Trump, to President Biden. I'm not going to sit here, try to bash on him. But I do believe that he should have not run again. He should have stepped down, given his, vice president more time to develop a campaign, because to run for president is not a 3 months campaign.
Yeah.
It's a fucking 2-year run basically. And you didn't give your vice president that. And you also handed her toxic policies. Like I knew Joe Biden was going to run again when he started handing Kamala Harris a bunch of you don't give somebody the border if you have the intention of her taking on as the standard bearer after you in 4 years, it means you're going to run again. And so all the things he said about being the next a link to the next generation in the primaries in 2020, all that went out the door.
Who do you think should have been y'all's nominee? Should it have been Kamala Harris, or do you think someone else?
I firmly support Vice President Harris, and I think it would have been a mistake for us to bypass her. But I think for her, she was tied down by Joe Biden. He's the president of the United States at the end of the day. Like she's only vice president. She can only do so much. And this is also for me the bigger picture of how we picture her and how we also picture other vice presidents. Like you never heard a single damn thing about Mike Pence. Because do you know anything about Mike Pence? Because he was vice president of the United States.
You're right. I don't know nothing about him.
Do you hear what JD Vance is doing right now?
Sometimes a little bit.
A little bit, but because
not too much though.
A little bit, yeah. And so we literally looked at her and said, oh yeah, you're the first woman vice president. We didn't forget the fact that she's at the end of the day, the vice president. Mm-hmm. The buck stops with Joe Biden. Joe Biden decides what the administration's policies are, even if she has disagreements, which she's had when it comes to Gaza, for example. She was the only person in the administration who was standing firm on Gaza and wanted us to do things on Gaza. But who's the president of the United States? Joe Biden.
Okay. What about other candidates you think could have helped? For example, I know people talked about AOC, Bernie Sanders, or
they wouldn't have won. You
don't think so?
No.
None of them? It should have been Kamala in the beginning?
I think it should have been, I think the whole race would have been in a better way, if she was given more time. And I think in 2028, she might run again. And it's going to be very interesting to see her without Joe Biden attached to her, because I really want to see her again when she was a senator, that firebrand, that fire in her. I want to see that again. And I do understand a little bit of why she couldn't be as, there as much, because one, the Biden team kind of messed her up, and the way that they were handling her, you should have 101, my God, she's the vice president. You need to be prepping her a little bit, propping her up and giving her some easy shit sometimes, to give her the positive headlines. That's what JD Vance is JD Vance. And the difference between, Harris and JD Vance is because Trump is allowing fans to, go around and get that media spotlight because Trump understands that he's not going to be here in 4 years.
Like that Joe Rogan podcast with him and JD Vance. Actually, that's one of the things because I watch him. Am I a fan of him? It depends what he talks about, but it did help because you just get to hear just Trump or JD Vance or everyone. But do you think it would have helped if Kamala was on it, or you don't think Joe Rogan has too much of an influence?
I don't think it would have. If she was on Joe Rogan, I think if she was more like herself and not like, because she's I'm in Harris World, and so she's a very like, I know her and not know her. Like I hope to get to meet her, but like I've gotten to understand who she is through people that I've met and people who've worked for her. And she's a very calculated leader, and she thinks before she, says things. And that's where I think a lot of people got pissed off, especially me sometimes, and young people in the left. They were like, they could tell when she wanted to say something like, oh yeah, I'm just like, no, I just want to say something like, say it. Just say it. Like, Kamala, I know like there's so many people who are like, say it. But don't try to be calculated. Don't try to like, I think she just, she had to like, I think about multiple things. Like she can't piss off the president. Like you can't piss the president off.
Just say it, because it brings that authentic self.
That's why I am interested to see how she does in the primary if she runs again. Like I'm interested to see. Like I don't think I blame her for the loss necessarily, and not a lot. And especially within the Democratic Party, and a lot of people that I've spoken to, even independents, Republicans, necessarily it was not because of her. I think it was because of Joe Biden, and also the way. In general, the whole Democratic Party was running that campaign, where you did forget about the bread and butter issues, which is the economy. The economy is important, stupid. Sure. That's a key word that you like to say politics, because the economy never runs away in every election. Like yes, maybe one issue might be a unique thing in every, like 2022 was the abortion was a big issue. Yeah. And that drove a lot of women, young people to the polls. And that did not allow Republicans to win a big majority in the House or take back the Senate, right? That was a specific, unique issue, but the economy was always an issue, right? Yeah. And you always need to make sure that you are talking about the economy and you talk about the other issues that are important to our party, which is making sure that people have equal rights. We're making sure that women have access to reproductive rights, all of those things, making sure we talk about all that stuff, but also making sure that as a young person, I do care about making sure that women have a right and all that stuff. And I want to make sure that I fight for everything like that, but I always want to make sure that I tie everything I'm talking about with the bread and butter issues. How can I make sure when I'm talking to a young person, I'm like, okay, we want to make sure that we have affordable housing in this world, right? Like I want to make sure that we talk about the bread and butter issues that actually like people are going through. How can I make sure that like you are having a roof over your head, right? Like I don't want to give you a roof over your head, but like how can we make sure that through policies we can, make sure that housing, is it the permitting or something that's like not allowing people to build more homes, or zoning laws? Like, is that something that's an issue?
Man, I could, if people want to know about the housing stuff, because right now I'm having a house being built, and this past year, it's been a nightmare. I could tell people what they have to do. I know what they got to change so it could be cheaper and more stuff, but I think it's mostly, I could go on.
There's
about
some
it.
Governmental policies that does hinder like some municipalities, some local governments, and even on the national level, there's policies that like maybe there's environmental policies, which is important, but we need to tweak that a little bit to ensure that do we get the materials that we're building to be more environmentally conscious so that we can continuously build more homes, because bureaucracy is good, but too much bureaucracy sometimes hinders the ability for us to progress a little bit more. And right now, I think there's a lot of zoning laws and a lot of permitting laws that did not allow for more affordable housing. And so that's one avenue for us to go towards.
Yeah, I agree on
And
that.
that's a local level issue, like not necessarily a federal government issue. The federal government doesn't, I don't think, control zoning laws. That's a local level. Your city council, your mayor, all they decide all that stuff. And so the federal government, honestly, is just the pocket, like it's the purse. Honestly,
You're right.
And through the purse, they bully people through it. So like that's how they make. Like honestly, literally, I just have money, and through money, I'm basically saying you need to do this and this and this.
So what made you want to? Because you're on the is it the Human Relations
Commission?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just joined. I was just appointed this month actually.
Yeah. Why'd you want to do it, and what do they do?
The Human Relations Commission basically is the communication link for the Vermilion community and city council, the mayor's office, the whole city of Vermilion. And we're there to, like, if there's a issue that a citizen has when it comes to like discrimination or anything that they felt like they were wronged, they can bring it up to the Human Relations Commission. We investigate it, and then we give like recommendations. We don't have like enforcement power. Like we can't like if somebody does something, we can't like come at you, right?
Yeah.
Like, but we also like pass proclamations like on certain occasions, like
Yep.
If somebody wants to be recognized, they can go through the Human Relations Commission. But I signed up because I really do care about like connecting with people, and I've never met you, and I have a lovely interaction with you here right now because I love to do that. And so, and I'm very passionate about making sure that I connect with people and I understand people. And that's my philosophy about politics. My philosophy is like, I know that right now we have a lot of toxicity. There's always people coming at you to argue, not necessarily to understand and try to, in some ways, inform and educate you, because sometimes the information maybe I have is wrong, right? And so through dialogue and through conversation, you can understand, I can understand what you're saying, I can understand you, and then take a step back. How can we come together and move forward in the right direction that's going to be helpful to you and helpful to me, right? Yeah, and so that's just like why I applied for the Human Relations Commission, mainly because of my passion for just being there with the community. And I've just, for the last 3 years being in college here, I've been immersed into the community. And so I would like to spend my last year, hopefully maybe not my last year, but like my last year here. I don't know if I'm going to go to graduate school here or not, but I would like to spend my time here serving and like helping the Vermilion community.
You sure you don't want to run for office or anything?
I'm a student.
in the future?
I want to be a lawyer, so I don't know. Maybe.
But you can't. Would you want to do like, be a congressman or something like that, or don't know yet?
I have, honestly, if somebody comes to you and they tell you that they have a plan to run for office, I think that's just a horrible sign for you, because then that just tells you that person is only power hungry and all they want is power. That's not what I want. I'm a student. Like right now I want to focus on my education, and maybe in something in the future that gets me riled up and wants me to actually serve. But right now what I will do and my action plan, and I think for a lot of young people who do not want to run for office, right? Your action plan could be help somebody run for office. Get in a campaign, get involved, register to vote, donate, follow College Democrats on TikTok, on Instagram, follow us everywhere.
I'll put the link.
And so like you can do like these things that are going to be helping us get in the right direction. Necessarily is not going to be me right now. Like I'm not going to run for office. I did expect this kind of question, so but I'm not running for office now.
All right, sweet. I think this is where we can end it because we're at 1 hour and 35 minutes.
Wow.
But it's all good.
Does not feel like that.
Yeah, but I do want to thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.